guys, welcome to PixelTalk. I am Corbin Stuckey, and today I'm here to give you my review on It. Now, I know I'm in a different location. I'm actually in my hometown trying to avoid Hurricane Irma. I had to leave Orlando, so I'm just trying to avoid the hurricane, and I'm safe. Everything's sunny outside, so everything's fine. I am in a good location. I don't know how Orlando's going to be when I get back, but while I'm here, I decided to do a review on It. I saw the movie last night, and here are my thoughts. Okay, so what are my opinions on the 1990s version of It, the TV miniseries? Tim Curry, really good as Pennywise the Clown. Here's my little, story on how I saw this miniseries. When I was a kid, I had a video rental store, and we went there all the time to rent movies, especially scary movies. And me and my dad decided that we were gonna rent It at the time, and we thought it was a movie. We didn't know that it was a TV miniseries, and it was a DVD copy. We didn't really have Blu-rays back then, so it was a DVD copy, and we soon began to realize that we only had disc 1 that had the first chapter with the kids in it. So we saw only half of the TV miniseries. I still really liked it though. I really liked the kids in that series, and I thought it was a really good story and a really good monster movie. And many years later, I decided to get the Blu-ray, and it has everything on it, and I watched the first part again. I watched the second part. Haven't really finished the second part because of this one scene that I saw. You gotta smile, don't cry. Whoa. You know you could. You know you could. Yeah, two men riding a bike together. That made me stop. I've heard that the second part is kind of goofy. It goes off the rails, but I'll finish it later on in the future. I want to read the book first and then finish the TV miniseries, but I realized that this It movie was gonna be just about the first half. So I was very excited about that because I was familiar with what happens in the first half. So yeah, I was just really intrigued about how they were gonna do this first half. It's not a reboot, it's the first film adaptation. The first thing that came out was a TV miniseries, so it's gonna be very different. This is the first film adaptation of It. So I was pretty excited for the most part what they were gonna do differently, even though it was not really a reboot, but what they were gonna do differently besides what happened in the TV miniseries. And here are my thoughts. This is terrifying. This is some scary shit, and I'm not afraid of clowns, okay? I'm not afraid of clowns whatsoever, but there was definitely some terrifying stuff happening in this movie, and I'm going to explain why. The movie does a really good job at setting up these kids. You come to realize that these are actual characters. In most scary movies, the characters are usually dumbass teenagers who are very expendable. You don't really care about their backgrounds, you just see them having sex and partying, and it's just, you don't really care. You're kind of watching the movie just to see them get killed because you're thinking to yourself, oh my god, these are really dumbass teenagers. But this movie, what it does really well is that it actually takes the time to get to know these kids, how they interact with each other, and just their family lives as well. These kids have really shitty parents, and it's very similar to the original TV series. It showcases that these kids really have kind of crappy lives and how they work together and kind of hang out just to get away from those crappy lives. And in the first 10 minutes of the film, it actually showcases that these kids are not safe whatsoever. There's that horror cliche in movies where kids are all right. There's nothing bad that's gonna happen to them. It's usually their parents or young adults that get killed in these movies. But the first 10 minutes showcases that even the youngest person in this film can die. It's very shocking and very graphic, and I was honestly very surprised. You probably know what scene I'm talking about if you've seen the original TV series and even read the book, and they go full on in this. It is very, very disturbing, and I was in my seat wide-eyed. It was a very... Everyone in the audience just had this kind of huge reaction. It's the best scene in the movie, don't get me wrong, but it really does set the tone as to what we are going to see throughout this film. But it's not all scary and terrifying. There's actually a lot of funny scenes as well between these kids. And by the way, the chemistry between these kids is amazing. It reminded me of Stranger Things. I really was reminded about that because it's these kids, they're interacting with each other, and they have to fight a monster. So it's very Stranger Things oriented. And it doesn't help at all that it reminds me of Stranger Things when we have Finn Wolfhard in this film, which by the way is the funniest character in this film. He's a side character, he's not the main character, but he is definitely what keeps the comedy in this. He is the comic relief, and he did an amazing job. Even if he got annoying at some times, the characters around him were like, dude, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about, Richie. So it's not just him bringing the comedic relief. It's the interactions between him and the kids that really bring the relief. And also that relief is what makes you worry for these kids. When you see these kids hanging out and having fun over the summer and seeing these actual characters within them, you wish for the best, but you see all this terrible shit that's happening to them, like not only like in their home lives, but there's also this freaky clown that's after them. And by the way, I gotta talk about Pennywise in this film. Oh my God. So Pennywise in the TV series, I thought he was scary, but there were times where I was able to laugh. I was like, okay, this is a clown, this is kind of comedic. Kind of very similar to the Chucky franchise. Like, even though it's meant to be scary, I was able to sometimes laugh at it. The original Pennywise was very troll-like. He messes with these kids. It's almost comedic sometimes. Even though he is killing the kids in the TV series, it's somewhat comedic. He's a clown. You know what I mean? Just kind of like that goofy atmosphere. Like, hi, Georgie, you want to come down here and play with me? I've got balloons. Let's go. But in this film, the Pennywise that we see is very demonic, very scary. And even though there were times where he would try to get to the kids through clown reasoning, it was very disturbing and got under my skin, and I was very uncomfortable. And like I said, the film is not afraid to showcase that there's shit that's gonna happen to these kids. These kids could die. You see that throughout the first 10 minutes of the film that these kids are not safe. Even though you like the kids and you want to see them prevail and, you know, hang out at the end, you have this mindset that anything could happen to these kids. And I think that's what Stephen King is really good at, is that even though you're dealing with kids, bad things also happen to kids. You see that in The Shining, you see that in Pet Sematary. Kids can sometimes like die. So that's what I really appreciate about this movie, was it didn't hold back. It didn't do a behind the curtains kind of thing. It actually showcases that there are terrible things happening to these kids. Another character that I like besides Richie, I really liked Eddie. I don't know where this kid is from, but I think this is kind of like his first major project. This kid's going places. Like, there is a scene in the film where he freaks out. I think when you see it, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. His voice goes high pitched, and everyone in the theater laughed their ass off. Like, this kid is so, oh my God, this Hollywood, utilize this kid. Okay, this kid, I want to see more of him because he's such a funny character. And even when he's not trying to be funny, I laughed my ass off. And it's not just like these two kids. Like, every kid in the movie was like really good. They did a really good performance, especially the main character who plays Bill. I really understood where he was coming from. He loses a loved one. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And none of the adults are doing anything. The adults are just trying to forget that there's this tragic event that happened. But he is like trying to figure out like what's going on. Like, hey, like, what the hell, Dad? Let's go out and try to find the remains of this loved one. And that's another thing I really liked about this film too, is that as kids, they don't have a proper understanding of how the world works, and their morality is still in check. It's like, hold on, there's these kids going missing and no one's doing anything about it. How about we do something about it? So that's another thing that I really appreciated about the film, was it showcased that kids, even though they're not really well experienced, they know the differences between right and wrong, and they know how to keep themselves morally intact. So I really like that. And you guys probably already know this. This is just the first half of this It franchise, because of the book dabbers into what happened to these kids when they were kids and what happens to them as they grow up and turn into adults. I'm very excited about that, but at the same time, it's like, I just watched like these really good performances between these kids, and I want to see more from them, but now they're probably gonna be recasted. It's gonna take place 27 years into the future. Modern time, which I really appreciate. They did this creative choice where instead of taking place in the 60s, they moved it to the 80s, which I really liked, because there's a lot of 80s influences in this film. Like, one of the kids is listening to New Kids on the Block, and I really enjoyed the soundtrack as well. Like, I think it just, you know, I prefer kids hanging out in the 80s than the 60s, because the 80s is such a wonderful time. I wish I was kind of like in the 80s. Like, if I got in a time machine, I'd probably go back to the 80s. And I just think it really brought forth more of the environment and the tone. And also, that means when we reach the adult portion of this story, it's gonna be 27 years after the original story. So I like the idea that Pennywise could be in a modern day setting. But at the same time, it's like, I really liked these kids, and knowing that they're probably gonna be recasted really bothers me. It bothered me in the TV series as well, because, you know, they recasted them, they had to be adults, so that's essentially what they're gonna have to do again, which I I don't know how I feel about that, but if they are able to maintain the same characters, like whoever they cast, I'll be fine. But damn, I really enjoyed these kids in this film. Really enjoyed this cast. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed just the setting, and I really enjoyed the story. It's got a good message. It's coming together and facing your fears. That's essentially what this story is about. And honestly, I think it's one of my favorite Stephen King stories. I like the monster, I like the kids, and I want to see more. For sure. Do chapter 2. I know you're gonna do chapter 2, because this film made a lot of money over the weekend. Alright guys, so that was my review of It. Comment down below what you thought of this movie if you've seen it yet. Like the video, share it, and please subscribe to PixelTalk if you haven't yet for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and gaming content. Thank you guys so much. I am Corbin Stuckey, and this is Pixel Talk.